There was no sign of life on my house building site early on, but just before midday I noticed a solitary figure up there taking measurements. It turned out that it was a young workman who'd come to lay the plastic tubing that will carry the water from the heat pump to power the underfloor heating. I left him to get on with it, and he had finished by mid-afternoon, during which time he had completed the whole job. This is how the system works. The heat pump draws heat from the air to heat the water that is circulated under the floor. It has a hot supply and a cool return, but it wouldn't be acceptable just to connect these to a single continuous pipe that runs into the floor space all around the house and back out again. The heat loss between the entry and the exit points will be so great that the rooms nearest the supply would get hot, but the last few in the loop probably wouldn't heat up at all. To get around this, several loops of piping are laid, each one warming up a different section of the building. Each one has an entry connected to the heat pump supply and an exit connected to the pump's return, and all of these are connected to the pump via what is called a manifold, another name for a valve with many connections. The manifold can be seen in the video standing upright on a wire frame covered up for protection. It has been mounted on the frame in what will be the cloak cupboard in the entrance foyer. The wire frame is not very elegant, and I don't know if it will remain after the house is finished. I'd prefer it to be removed, but at least in its current position it won't be visible. You can see in the video how the tubing goes from the manifold to all parts of the house and back again, with the hot supplies marked in red and the cooler returns in blue. The exceptions where no tubing has been laid are the areas near where the front door will be, because that will be outside in the porch, and under where the walk-in shower will be in the bathroom. Otherwise, as the video shows, the whole of the rest of the house has been covered. The piping has been laid directly onto the polystyrene houdris, the plastic bridges between the floor beams that will support the concrete floor slab, held in place by plastic staples. Before he left, the technician conducted pressure tests on each section to ensure that there won't be any leaks. Reinforcing steel mesh will be laid on top of it before the concrete is poured, and the builder has to be confident, following the checks, that there won't be any problems of any kind with it once the concrete has been laid. When I went up in the early evening to check how things had gone, I found that there was a large heap of the plastic securing staples left over, and some more in the rubbish bin. Closer inspection showed that at the living room end, where he'd started, the tubing loops were all evenly laid out and neatly clipped down, but at the other end, where he'd finished, half of the loops were hardly clipped down at all, and those that were had only around half of the number of clips that they really needed to hold them securely in place. Therefore, although it probably wasn't critical as far as the finished job will be concerned, as the concrete will hold the tubing down anyway, I had to spend an hour or so myself improving some of the tubing layout and adding clips in the gaps where more were needed. Afterwards, I was happy for the project to proceed to the next stage.